Hello, and welcome to this session on Microsoft's Select Plus agreements. My name is Rich Gibbons, and it's my pleasure to take you through these slides. They support the Select Plus module in the Microsoft Licensing Solutions Specialist accreditation at getlicensingready.com. If you need reference material, you'll find handouts at that site as well. This session will be split into two main sections, as you can see. First of all, we're going to look at the Select Plus agreements in the context of the other Microsoft volume licensing agreements. And we do need to look at the retirement plans for this program in this section too. Then we'll turn our attention to finding out a bit more detail about the agreement itself. And that will include looking at the sort of products that customers can purchase, how ordering and payments work, and finally, some additional benefits that are available through the agreement. So let's begin with seeing how the Select Plus agreement fits in with Microsoft's other volume licensing agreements. I'm sure you're familiar with this slide, it's one of my favourites. You can see the Select Plus agreement in the bottom left hand corner, and it shows us that it's aimed at customers who want to purchase a larger number of licenses for on-premises software, such as Windows 10 and Office, or Windows Server and SQL Server. The licenses are perpetual licenses, which means they can use the software forever, and software assurance is an optional purchase. You can also see that the Select Plus agreement is in the transactional part of the diagram, which means that as long as they meet some minimums, customers can purchase any number of licenses for any products at any time. Now, one thing you can see is that there is no option to purchase licenses for online services such as Office 365, or in fact Azure, through the Select Plus agreement. The Select Plus agreement will be retired quite soon, and it was decided not to update this agreement to allow customers to do this. So what agreement should existing Select Plus customers be moving to? We can see that the MPSA, the Microsoft Products and Services Agreement, is placed in the diagram next to the Select Plus agreement, and this is what customers should move to. It's a transactional agreement, allowing customers to buy perpetual licenses for on-premises software with or without SA, but it also allows them to use the same agreement to buy subscription licenses for online services too. Now, this video was recorded in July 2016, so let's see what the current retirement situation is for the Select Plus agreement. Here we can see that Microsoft announced that Select Plus was end of life in July of 2014. Now, big agreements like this can't just be retired overnight, so there are some other key dates to be aware of. The first is July 1st, 2015, when no new Select Plus agreements could be signed. And the second is 1st of July 2016, which is the start of last orders for existing Select Plus agreements. Let's take an example to see how this would affect an existing customer. Let's say that Contoso have an existing Select Plus agreement with an agreement anniversary of the 1st of January. They can continue to make purchases on this agreement after the 1st of July 2015, when no new agreements can be signed, up until their next agreement anniversary on the 1st of January. And in fact, they can make purchases after the 1st of July 2016 too, up until their next agreement anniversary on the 1st of January 2017. But that's the last point at which they can place orders. So you can see that they need to be thinking about signing an MPSA now so that they can continue to buy licenses after that point. If they have any software assurance on their Select Plus agreements, then they can renew that into the MPSA when they need to. However, the Select Plus agreement isn't at a complete end just yet, so let's make sure you understand how some of the important aspects of products, orders, and payments work. Let's recap some of the things we already know. That the agreement is aimed at customers who need to buy a larger number of licenses, and here you can see that typically equates to an organisation with more than 250 desktops. You can buy perpetual licenses for on-premises software products, and software assurance is always optional. But what else do you need to know? Well, it's an evergreen agreement. Now, the Select Plus agreement was the first evergreen agreement, and this means an organisation signs the agreement terms and conditions and then doesn't have to keep signing new agreements after 2 or 3 years, like what happens with agreements such as Open or an enterprise agreement. Then we can see that there are different price levels based on how much you purchase, which is calculated by points and pools. I'm going to cover that on the next slide. And finally, from an ordering and payment point of view, a customer makes an order in the month when they want to install a particular piece of software, and they make a payment at that moment in time. There are some options for spreading payments if you buy software assurance, and again, we'll come to more detail on that. So these are some specifics for the Select Plus agreement, and what's great is, having learnt this about the Select Plus agreement, it's exactly the same for the MPSA, with the added benefit, of course, that customers can also buy online services. But we need some more detail on how these points and pools work. So let's take a look. Every product that Microsoft sells is placed into one of 3 pools, which you can see on the slide here. The first pool is the Systems pool. This is the pool for the client operating systems, and you can see that an example of a product in this pool is Windows 10 Pro. You can also see that there's a points number there, which indicates that a single Windows 10 Pro license is worth 2 points. The next pool is the Applications pool, and this is where you'll find all of the client applications, including suites such as Office or individual applications like Visio. Again, you can see the points for the products I've chosen. And finally, there's the Servers pool, which is everything else. It's the server operating system, that's Windows Server 2012 R2, as well as the server applications, products such as SQL Server 2016. Now the points I've shown on the slide here are just for the licenses. We've been saying that software assurance is an optional purchase, and if you do buy SA, then you're allocated extra points, which are calculated as half the license points per year. If you need to find out how many points a product is allocated under the Select Plus, or indeed MPSA agreement, then you should refer to the product terms document. This is a document that's updated monthly by Microsoft and contains a whole host of useful information. So as a recap, all of Microsoft's products are in one of these 3 pools and allocated a points count. But what's the purpose of that? Well, it's to determine the price level that the customer will be purchasing at. Let's take a look. Here you can see that there are 4 price levels, A to D, with the corresponding points that a customer needs to accumulate during a single year to be eligible for that price level. You can see the minimum number of points required for level A is 500 points. And that's where the notion that this agreement will be aimed at organisations with 250 or more PCs comes from. A Windows license or an Office license is worth 2 points. So if you bought a copy for all of the PCs in your organisation, then you'd reach that 500 points minimum. I should also point out that the price levels are per pool, and as a customer, you could be at one price level for one pool, and then a completely different price level for another pool. And what's the benefit of the different price levels for a customer? It's obviously a level of discount. The more you purchase, the higher price level you achieve, and the better level of discount you receive for your purchases. Now, at this stage you may have all sorts of questions like, what happens if a customer doesn't reach the minimums? What happens if they spend much more one year than another? What happens if they were at level A and then they place a big order? Do they get level B pricing? Well, you'll be pleased to know I'm going to cover all of these topics in the coming slides. Let me start by explaining what you can see here. Up the left hand side, I've got an axis where we'll be recording the number of points corresponding to the orders that are placed. And you can see that I've already marked on the different price levels. I'm going to use the bottom axis to show time, and in fact each vertical line is going to separate the different years of activity. So let's get started. The first order that our customer places equates to 250 points. And this is important because a customer starting a new agreement didn't have to meet a minimum of 500 points with their first order. Now you know that a customer can no longer start a new Select Plus agreement, but I thought I'd mention it since the rules are exactly the same for the MPSA, so it's worth knowing. Now the other thing we need to consider for this first small order is what price level it's at, and perhaps fairly obviously, level A pricing would be applied to this order. Here's the next order that's placed, and you can see that this takes us firmly into the level A area, and again, level A pricing would be applied to the order. But what about this order? You can see that's quite a big order, and the total points are now more than required for level B pricing. So what price level is this order at? Is it at level A? Is part of it at level A and part at level B? Or is it all level B? Well, it's good news. The whole order that takes a customer into the new price level is at that new price level. So level B in this example. Now that's all of the orders that our customer places this year. So what happens at the end of the year? Well, there's an anniversary compliance check. That's the ACC marked on my diagram, which is where the points are totaled and the price level for the following year is determined. Let's have a look at what happens in this scenario. So the total point spend for the year was 7,250, which is the level B range as it's more than 4,000 points, and the customer is confirmed as a level B customer for any purchases made the following year. And there's another concept to become familiar with here as well, that of rollover points. This customer spent 3,250 points more than they needed to become a level B customer, and so they take those extra points into the next year with them, like this. Which means, of course, that they don't need that many more points to maintain their level B pricing. Let's imagine that these are their orders for the rest of the year, and you can see that again they're in the level B price region. The same thing happens at the end of the year, where the total spend is calculated, the customer is confirmed as having level B pricing for the following year, and there are some more rollover points. This is what happens at the beginning of the third year that we're looking at here. The rollover points are applied, and an order is made. Now a question for you. What price level will that small order of 500 points be? If you're thinking level B, you're exactly right. All orders for the customer are at level B, unless of course they go into the level C points region. This is all the customer bought during this year, so at the anniversary compliance check, the points are calculated, and it's found that they didn't achieve level B pricing, so the price level changes. It's called re-leveling, and this customer is re-leveled to level A with no rollover points. During the next year, they place an order, which will be at level A pricing, but as soon as this large order is placed, they will return to level B pricing for that order and any further orders that year. On the previous slide we were just talking about points, and it could have been points that had been accumulated from just license purchases or from license with software assurance purchases. Now it's time to get a bit specific on orders that include software assurance and what happens at renewal. We said earlier that licenses are ordered in the month in which the software is first used, and if it's just a purchase of a license, then a single payment is made for the license. However, if software assurance is added to the purchase, how much SA do you buy? Well, the answer is up to 3 years. Let's take a look. The first order is right on the anniversary of the agreement, and so the customer buys the license and 3 years of SA. They place another order a few months later, and you can see that to make alignment of renewals convenient, the customer just pays for 33 months of SA. That's complete months up until the anniversary. And the same concept again with the next order placed a few months later. During the second year of the agreement, it works in exactly the same way for new orders. Alignment is to the third anniversary, and the customer is billed for complete months of SA. You can see that it's always going to be between 25 and 36 months of SA. When the customer comes to renew the SA, then you can see that all of the orders in the first year come up for renewal at exactly the same time, and the SA is renewed for a further 3 years. And of course, it's always exactly 36 months of SA at renewal. The same thing happens with the orders placed during the second year. Now, I've been talking about the anniversary, but on the diagram it actually says affiliate anniversary, and the topic of affiliates is what I'd like to move on to now. What is an affiliate? Well, the official definition is there for you on the slide. If we take an example though, it could be that the customer that signed the Select Plus agreement has a subsidiary that's a separate legal company. Since this subsidiary is completely owned by our customer, it qualifies as an affiliate, and you can see that as long as our customer owns more than 50% of a company, it can be considered an affiliate. Now, an affiliate can also be a business unit within the main customer, if that's convenient. But why is the notion of affiliates important? Well, it's a way for a group of related companies to buy under the same agreement. The main company signs the agreement, and then their affiliates can also buy under that agreement. Now, those affiliates have no particular order commitments, but because they are buying under the bigger agreement, they may buy very small quantities of licenses, but get an advantageous price level, because purchases from all affiliates are added together to determine the price level. Let's look at how a typical Select Plus agreement might be structured, and see how the affiliates fit in and what options they have. So the first thing that is signed by the customer is an overarching set of terms and conditions called the Microsoft Business and Services Agreement, and then the main customer signs the Select Plus agreement and an affiliate registration form and is designated the lead affiliate. They choose the partner they want to work with. Then further affiliates can also sign affiliate registration forms to purchase under this Select Plus agreement, and they can either work with the same partner or a different one. Each affiliate can decide exactly what licenses they purchase, and one of the benefits that they will all realise is that the points are totalled across all of the affiliates to determine the price level for the whole agreement. Let's look at how that works in practice. This is a very similar diagram to the one that we used earlier, but the points relating to purchases made by the lead affiliate will be in pink, and those by affiliate A will be green. So we start off as we did before, with a small order from the lead affiliate, and then an order is placed by affiliate A. And we know that both of these orders will be at level A pricing. Then the lead affiliate places a larger order, which takes the whole agreement for that particular pool to level B. The same compliance check takes place at the end of the agreement year, with the same calculations and the same rollover points. And then further orders are placed through the year. If you have a look at affiliate A here, they never buy enough licenses in the year to get to level B pricing, but because the price level is determined across all affiliates, they're seeing this benefit by getting all of the second year orders at level B, and further orders throughout the years all work in exactly the same way. Let's use this slide to do a final couple of examples so you understand the full spectrum of different scenarios. I should say at this point, I'm choosing to show this with multiple affiliates. The example would work equally well for a customer who was the only affiliate placing multiple orders. So we start with our usual grid, but in this example, our customer is a level C customer, and therefore these orders he places are at level C pricing. Now what happens at the end of the year in this scenario? He clearly doesn't qualify for level C pricing, but what price level does he get re-leveled to? Let's see. You can see the calculations, and what actually happens is that even though he should perhaps be on level A pricing, he's only re-leveled down by one price level, so he's confirmed as a level B customer for the following year. This is what happens in the next year, and again, we know that both of these orders will be at level B pricing. And at the end of the year? Well, they didn't achieve enough points for level B pricing, so they're re-leveled to level A for the next year. Now in this third year, they just make a very small order, and in fact it's so small, it doesn't even make the 500 points minimum. What happens here? Well, the pool is put on hold, and this means that the customer can't order any licenses until they place an order for at least 500 points, at which point everything works as we have seen several times now. The affiliates can place their orders and the price levels change dynamically as required. In the last part of this section, I want to look at the payment options available when customers buy licenses with software assurance. We've seen this diagram before, which represents the purchase of licenses with software assurance in the pink, where the amount of software assurance that purchased is aligned to the third anniversary. And the renewals of the SA are shown in blue, and that's always for 36 months. But when does the customer make payments? Well, actually they have a choice, and the first choice we'll look at is upfront billing. This is straightforward and just shows at the time the order is placed, the customer pays in full for the license and the required amount of software assurance. Let's look at some slightly more interesting options, however. Here we start with the same diagram, but this time we're going to look at aligning payments to the affiliate anniversary. Here you can see that the customer has opted to spread payments. It's something he's allowed to do if he purchases software assurance with licenses, and the payment schedule he's chosen is to always align with his anniversary. Now I've used the affiliate anniversary here because all affiliates can decide on their own anniversaries, and often align them with business events, at the end of their financial year for example, to make accounting easier. When payments are aligned to the affiliate anniversary, you can see that you make a payment when the order is placed, and then make a further payment on the anniversary. If you look at the third row down, you can see that sometimes you would make a payment, and then quite soon afterwards make another payment at the anniversary. It all depends at which point in the year you make the order. And it's because of this that there's another option for customers. Let's take a look. This option is all about aligning to the order anniversary, and you can see that again a payment is made when the initial order is placed, but then the next payment is always made 12 months later. Again, looking at the third row, you can see that this time the customer will have evenly spread payments as they start, and will then have two payments close together as they make the payment for the last couple of months before they renew the SA. Customers can choose the payment alignment that works best for them on every order, to give them flexibility and to fit in with budgets and other payment schedules. Let's now turn our attention to some additional agreement benefits that Select Plus customers have access to. The first topic I want to talk about are the options for users to use software at home. This mainly relates to Office software, and you can imagine that if a user is using the latest version of Office at work, it would be good if he was allowed to use the same version of the software at home too. In fact, there are two options to make this possible. Organisations can either make use of a special licence called the Work at Home licence, or an SA benefit called the Home Use Programme. So let's get the detail on how these work, starting at the left hand side with the Work at Home licence. This is an additional licence purchased for a customer, and as you can see, it must correspond to an existing licence purchased. Essentially, it may be purchased for the primary user of a device that has an Office Standard or Professional Plus licence acquired through the Select Plus agreement. This user would then be licensed to use the software on their PC at home for as long as they're employed by the organisation that purchased the Work at Home licence for them. The other alternative is for customers who have software assurance on their desktop application licences. If they have, say, Office Professional Plus 2016 with SA, then they can buy a Home Use Programme version of Office Professional Plus 2016 for the user to use on a device at home. Note that it's only the Professional Plus edition of Office that's available, but actually, if you have a single application, such as Word with SA, or just Office Standard with SA, they both qualify as the prerequisite for buying a Home Use Programme licence. Equally, if you have Visio or Project licences with SA, then there are Home Use Programme licences available for those products too. And what are the terms of the user using this product at home? Well, this time it's dependent on the software assurance being active, as well as the user continuing to work for the purchasing organisation. And the final benefit to talk about is that of training and evaluation licenses. You can see here that if you have an in-house training facility and want to install the software to use during training courses, then that's allowed, and the rules state that you can install each product up to 20 times if required. Equally, if you want to evaluate a particular product, then you're allowed to install any product up to 10 times for a 60-day evaluation period if required. Well, that concludes this session. Thank you for listening, and good luck when you take the associated exam.